Millions lost as floods cut off Maiduguri, schools, businesses shut down. Gunmen reportedly kill 7 in Benue community. Parents lament hike in school fees, stationery amidst economic hardship. And on the international scene, United Nations says floods kill hundreds, affect over 1 million in Chad. Very good evening and welcome to the news update on Trust Television. My name is Sagir Ibrahim. And now the news in full. Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, has been inundated by flood following torrential rain and water from Alo Dam in the past few days. As a result, thousands of houses, farmlands, offices and schools have been submerged. The flood submerged major parts of the Maiduguri metropolis, including places like Monday Market, Post Office, the Zoo Park, Teaching Hospital, among others. The capital has been on standstill as residents struggle to evacuate. Some of the residents said it's been more than 30 years since such disaster occurred in the state. At the moment, many are hoping that residents at the affected locations will survive until help comes from the appropriate quarters. And meanwhile, the Borno Museum Park has raised the alarm over an incursion of deadly animals into residential communities. The general manager of the park, Ali Abacha Donbest, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday. He said the flood disaster caused damage to properties and led to the deaths of over 80% of the animals. Donbest said animals like crocodiles and snakes are among those swept into communities and called on the public to be aware and take all the necessary precaution to avoid the animals. Also, President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep concern following ravaging floods that have wreaked havoc in parts of Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. The worst flood in decades has displaced thousands of residents and affected facilities such as the post office, museum and the Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. In a statement on Tuesday, the special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said President Tinubu has ordered the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately deploy its resources to assist victims. The President also called for the immediate evacuation of those worst affected by the disaster. The statement said President Tinubu assured Governor Zulum that the federal government is ready to collaborate with the state to address the immediate humanitarian needs of the affected people. And also, the Bauchi State Executive Council has confirmed that 24 people have so far lost their lives, with property worth over 22 billion naira destroyed due to persistent floods in 16 local government areas of the state. The council, while disclosing this on Monday, states that it has constituted an interministerial committee to assess the damages caused by the devastating natural disaster. Speaking with journalists after the council's meeting, the Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Hajara Wanka, who disclosed that the ministry is still compiling its report, noted, however, that 163 people have so far been injured, 60 culverts washed away, 12 major roads cut off, 178 electric poles destroyed, and 11,183 livestock destroyed. Wanka also confirmed that the council has ratified the release of funds to rehabilitate damaged structures, including culverts, access roads, schools, and public buildings. She maintained that the committee's formation followed a directive from the federal government to ascertain the magnitude of the disaster, which affected many states of the Federation. Similarly, a devastating flood in the Kafanchan axis of Jema'a local government area of Kaduna State has claimed the lives of 2 children, washed away farmlands, and displaced hundreds of people. The vice chairman of Jema'a local government area, Christy Usman, who made the disclosure, said the incident followed heavy rainfall in the area some days ago. According to him, the Kaduna State Flood Assessment Committee, led by the Chief of Staff to Governor Ubasani, Sani Kila, has visited the area to assess the impact of flooding in the southern parts of the state. During the visit, the governor's chief of staff warned residents against building along waterways and indiscriminate dumping of refuse on drainages in order to mitigate flooding during the rainy season. In Sanga local government, 5 communities were cut off due to a collapsed bridge, while some houses came down due to heavy rainfall. While the assessment committee is expected to make its findings and recommendations to Governor Obasani at the end of the assessment tour, the Kaduna state government is, however, appealing to the federal government to support those already impacted by the flood disaster to complement the efforts of the state with additional relief materials. An insecurity gunman on Tuesday morning killed 7 persons in Naka town of Gwe West local government area in Benue State. Naka town is located on the Makudi Naka Adoka Ankpa Trunk A Federal Highway. The inhabitants are predominantly peasant farmers who have been suffering herdsmen attacks for over 16 years. An eyewitness, Tena Uka, said the gunmen stormed the town on bicycles towards Adoka Road around 4 a.m. and opened fire on sleeping residents. Uka said they did not pick any item, suggesting the gunmen came to kill. He said before the Tuesday killing, armed herdsmen had destroyed their farmlands using cattle who graze on crops like cassava, millet, and rice. The state police spokesperson, SP Kate Anene, said she was yet to be briefed on the incident. And as insecurity permeates all nooks and crannies of Nigeria, experts have called for a non-kinetic approach to address problems bedeviling the nation. The experts said state legislature also has roles to play in developing pragmatic indigenous solutions to nip the problem in the bud from the subnational level. Hamid Oyebade has the report.
Economic Forum ranking, Nigeria holds the 3rd position among the world's 20 most dangerous countries. Over the years, Nigeria government deployed armed forces to combat insecurity, but this has even led to escalation of the crisis in some parts of the country. A professor of defense and strategic studies at the National Defense College, Chinedu Ude, a professor of political science at the New University of Nigeria, Akim Onapajo, and the team leader of the Partnership to Engage, Reform and Learn, John Mutu, charged the state legislators to explore their oversight function to nip the problem in the bud.
And the political insecurity as well, even energy insecurity in Nigeria. So I think it's high time for the state, houses of assembly to rise up to the occasion and take up and make contributions towards solving the security challenges we have in our country.
The state houses of assembly also have a role to play in this regard. They are expected to make laws that would, encourage whatever the government is trying to do.
Instead of leaving it for the executive alone to handle, instead of leaving it to the military to handle, we are exploring how the legislature, as lawmakers, can make laws, can come up with a legislative intervention that will help address those underlying factors that has, allowed insecurity to fester in this country.
The state legislators said they are not oblivious of their roles as they call for full financial and administrative autonomy for state legislature to enable them function effectively and efficiently.
This insecurity has been going on for quite some time, but I must say that the federal government and of course the state government, my own state, are doing the best that they can to make sure that they wipe out insecurity.
The legislature is an arm of government without which there cannot be true democracy and true governance that will benefit the people. We have always contributed, we are contributing, and we shall continue to contribute to the development of this nation.
A local security outfit which is called Operation Rainbow. And that Operation Rainbow is an alignment of all the security apparatus we have in this state and some other local vigilante put together in a set of organization. We in the House of Assembly made that law, and Operation Rebel has been active. It has helped in containing some of those menace of insecurity in our areas.
The expert charged state legislators to step up their oversight function and discharge on their mandate so as to make life better for their constituents. Amit Oyegbade, reporting for Trust TV.
And stakeholders in the nation's electoral process have identified issues that may hinder the peaceful conduct of the off-cycle election in Edo State, which is scheduled to take place on the 21st of September 2024, with the aim of addressing them ahead of the vote. At an engagement in Abuja, they said the need to address such issues stems from the experiences with the general elections and the off-cycle elections in Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa, where many have questioned the outcome of the polls. Trust TV's Noah Sampson has more.
As the off-cycle election in Edo State draws nearer, issues around non-credible political party primary election, verbal attacks and hate speech, security of lives and properties, violence during voters' card collection, among others, were highlighted as challenges ahead of the governorship poll.
One of it is instance of physical violence and attack, cultism, communal violence and what have you are still happening, and that have a tendency to trigger violence during the election. So we are urging the security agencies to do everything possible to de-escalate such potential situation so that we will be able to have a peaceful election in those states.
There seems to be some people are trying to ensure that certain people don't get their PVCs, as a way of, disenfranchising them, and we find that very, very worrisome. The other one is the security situation. And when once there's a breakdown in security, people fear for their lives, and it can lead to people not turning out to vote.
To address the challenges highlighted, stakeholders made recommendations on what could be done to make the Edo election free, fair, credible, and peaceful.
One of it is to ensure that INEC security agencies, particularly the police, did not be used to favor a particular political party or a candidate.
And the INEC officials make all things easy for people to go and vote. This whole idea of ensure every election is an issue of logistics at times, which is even something that is even becoming too, when we start something and it gets bad, people learn and improve on it. Logistics, when some politicians will make sure that electoral materials do not get to a certain place where they feel that they are weak.
With less than 2 weeks to the governorship election in Edo State, stakeholders are calling the attention of the public and government and other key personnel to some of the issues and called for concerted efforts towards addressing them to ensure that the outcome reflects the wishes of the people. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And the Department of State Services, the DSS, has released the passport of the President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. Some Labour leaders who spoke in confidence to Daily Trust on Tuesday in Abuja said the secret police did not find anything incriminating against Ajaero. The DSS bowed to pressure from various quarters on Monday when it released the Labour leader on bail a few minutes to the ultimatum given by the NLC. You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up after the break. Parents feel the pinch as rising costs strain wallets with school resumption expenditure. This and of course many other stories after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories again. Millions lost as floods cut off Maiduguri, schools, businesses shut down. Gunmen reportedly killed 7 in Benue community. Of primary, nursery and also secondary schools on Monday. Parents in Jos, the Plateau State capital, are lamenting overpayment of children's school fees and hike in price of stationeries in the market. The parents said with current economic hardship Nigerians are facing, it would be difficult for them to afford education for their children. Trust TV's Ado Musa completes the report.
The high cost of living in Nigeria is becoming a way of life, with millions of Nigerians decrying their hardship following the removal of fuel subsidy by the present administration. The situation has impacted the purchase of goods and services in the country. As the schools resume for the first time this week, parents are complaining about how the economic hardship will affect the payment of school fees for their children and other school expenses.
It is so bad that looking at the way things are now, and with the children who are very, very hopeful that they will return back to school just in about a week or thereabouts. Honestly, I tell you most solemnly that most of them won't go back to school. The situation is so bad that some of the parents cannot even take care of their children. Those that have 2 or 3 children, they can't even feed them. When you can't feed their children, how can you pay their school fees? It is impossible.
All the parents in this country, we cannot pay our children's school fees. Some will drop out now because of the increment of payment of school fees. So we want the government to come in to do for a way to solve all these problems that this country is passing through now.
On a serious note, there is a lot of challenges because things are very tough and there is no money. Economy is very bad. Parents are suffering. To feed is another thing. Talk less of school fees because many schools have increased their school fees.
Amma dai har ga Allah, talaka yana jin jiki a ƙasar nan, har ga Allah. Yanzu,
honestly speaking, things are hard in this country. Immediately the schools resumed on Monday, we were told that the fees have been increased. The means of income has changed completely. What we are earning can no longer be enough to cater for the education of our children. The government should consider our situation. Usman Aliyu is a secondary school teacher. He explained the situation in his school following resumption.
A lot of parents are actually complaining that the children have now gone back to school and the economy is biting on them hard to the extent that enough of them cannot be able to pay their children's school fees. So with the current economy in this country, so parents are actually trying their best, but the country is not helping matter at all. It's not helping.
As prices of goods and services continue to rise by the day, the parents say they are losing hope in the country.
Each day, I woke up with this headache that how do one survive this condition? The situation is so bad that you wake up this day and you every news about Nigeria is bad. And you will be thinking that the government will do something to salvage the situation. But rather, the government will come up with another policy that is against the poor masses. Another, the masses now, not only the poor ones, but actually both the middle class, actually too, they're not finding it funny. Except you're in government, you find yourself eating well. But so long as you're not in government, you find it difficult. You find the situation so bad.
Parents are calling on the government at all levels to listen to the cry of the masses to bring down the price of fuel in the country. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Women allegedly locked up in a prison in Libya have cried out for help. A video making the rounds on social media showed a good number of the women in what they say is a holding facility. According to the women, some of them have been in the facility for more than a year. The video showed some of them carrying little children or calling on the Nigerian government to come to their aid.
And our president is collecting 1,300, 1,500 from us, and he's doing nothing. Please, we need your help. Our help, we are going to boss this place because all other nationalities are running away. But we Nigerians, we stay calm because we want to defend our country. We want to protect our name. We want to protect our country, Nigeria. Yes. So now, if we are not taking any step, we are going to take a step forward. We are going to get better. We are telling you guys now to please, not to marry. The moment is our house. Look at this baby. Look at you. Look at you now. We from West Africa.
There you have it. And away from Nigeria, weeks of severe flooding in Chad have left 341 people dead and some 1.5 million affected since July, the United Nations said on Monday. The UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, said the flooding had hit all of the country's 23 provinces. It cited government data which said some 164,000 houses had been destroyed and almost 70,000 heads of cattle lost, with 259,000 hectares of fields ruined. The government has yet to publish a breakdown of the damage wrought by the deluge, which has broken over the nation of some 16 million. Last week, 14 students and their teacher died when a school collapsed after torrential rains battered the province of Ouaddaï in the semi-arid east. By mid-August, at least 54 people had lost their lives in flooding in Tibesti province in Chad's desert far north. And in sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria played out a hard-fought 0-0 draw with Rwanda in their second Group D game of the 2025 AFCON qualifiers in Kigali on Tuesday. After 2 games played, the Eagles temporarily topped the group on 4 points, while Rwanda are second on 2 points, having recorded their second draw. Interim coach Austin Eguavon made just one change in his starting 11, with Fishayo Dele Bashiru coming in for Alex Iwobi. Up next for the Eagles is the Falcon AFCON qualifiers is a home game against Libya on match day 3 in Uyo, scheduled for October 6th, while the reverse fixture is billed for October 14. And with that, we wrap up the news updates at this hour. Do not forget to follow us across all of our social platforms and catch our live stream on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. My name is Sagir Ibrahim. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.